Yes, now. And if they can't see, I can always just bring it up on my phone.
Okay.
And then they can watch that video instead.
Okay. So I guess let me just make sure that the subject is coming. He should be. He knows.
Okay.
Just give us a few minutes. Okay. Thank
Great.
you.
Sure.
Yeah, he's 17. And I called it up and stuff. Oh, no, it's fine. And then I actually said my cousin she's going to the edge of the bed.
Sure.
Okay. So you guys all be here. In the interest of speed. Put mine back behind your back. Yeah. Should have thought.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dan. This
Hi.
is Caitlin. We're from Phillips. We're just waiting to get set up here. We'll probably get going in a few minutes. If you have any questions at any point, feel free to unmute yourself, or you can also message us in the chat room.
It's probably a little easier to just call out your questions if you have any, because I'll be scanning while Dan is explaining stuff. So if you have questions, just don't be shy. I don't know if we'll get, we'll see him right away. If you guys want to say hi too, you can unmute yourselves. No pressure. Only.
Can everyone see the screen clearly? Super.
postpone it longer.
It's on 16 right now.
Put it on. Oh, 16 hours.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was 16 minutes.
Yeah.
That's never popped up on mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was minutes. Yeah.
How does the Zoom work? So there's the iPad computer. Yeah, and then he has the computer. So I'm actually gonna try to.
Have a
How it looks. Because yeah, Rupa, she has a patient. She wanted to come in. Then there, yeah,
Oh,
she
maybe.
needs it. Yeah. Okay, perfect.
And it's too hot.
Okay. Back over towards it. I'll knock it down.
True.
The stretcher.
Yeah.
That way it's like it's right on the wall.
And so,
It'll be easier to hear. Pretty well, but I just wonder if we'll get the zoom in at all. From here? I thought maybe. Yeah, it's up there, that would move it back down. Okay. Okay. Maybe we can do it.
we could,
Can we move it back a little bit?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
How's that?
Yeah, I think that's actually good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then whoever's here, we can.
Okay. All right.
Just make sure that they can hear us.
Yeah. Nobody's in here.
Yeah, no one answered. That's sure.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
ask
Jenny.
Jen is coming. Okay. We're just finishing up. And we get a consent form to sign for it's okay to take the couple shots.
And take the pictures.
Just to,
Yeah.
it's so weird. COVID has taught us so many different things.
Right.
Like we're doing Zoom interviews when we all did like in-person interviews for fellowships.
Right. Strange time.
And then we're going to show the tour of the hospital on Zoom.
Yeah. I had one interview like a long time ago.
Yeah.
And it was on like on your laptop. And back then, it was weird.
Yeah, it's going to be weird. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
That was a
you
couple of years ago. I mean,
Yeah,
that was
you-
commented 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, all the emotions and expressions.
Yeah, you can't like read anybody's body language. You can't see the face.
Yeah.
You can understand something or not. It's a challenge. It's been different, but we're moving back to, we're trying to get back
You're always
to
very
in
who
person.
passes behind you.
Yeah.
It's true.
So we're moving back towards getting in person classes and everything too. They definitely are not going to do that. Yeah.
But thank you for coming in person during the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, no problem.
Happy to help.
Because we had a lot of, even the in-service thing, like on Zoom.
Alright.
Sorry.
So many things on Zoom. Teach our classes on like GoTo and Zoom as well
Oh,
for the rest of the year. Yeah.
okay. Do you guys have any specific sessions for the fellows or?
Well, anybody could go to, any of our courses. We have like 3D TV classes that are led by physicians and cardiac anesthesiologists.
So how, like, are they registered, like, we have to register for them or?
Yeah, so I would register.
Oh, okay.
you're interested in more.
Yeah, I could send out a list of all the courses.
Yeah, that'd be
For the
good.
rest of September,
Yeah.
October,
Yeah.
and you guys can tell me which ones are interested.
We have like full day courses, ones that go, from about 10 a.m. to like 4-ish, 5-ish. Then we also have smaller sessions too that are like 1 to 2 hours.
Okay.
So those are the two. And then
And they are like during the weekday or
Both.
Oh, some on the weekend as well. Yeah.
Okay.
They've been doing them later too, the shorter sessions.
Oh, okay.
To help with
Starting in the afternoon, like late afternoon.
That'd be really helpful for us, actually.
Yeah.
And you have Margarita's email,
Yes.
and also probably she can give all our emails too.
Yeah.
And then
Absolutely.
that would be really helpful if we can like register for one of those longer sessions and
Sure.
like learn more.
Right.
Because that's one of the probably challenging, I should say, that not a lot of us are exposed to vision and the echo. So we have a great modality and yeah, that rock. Okay, so this is our first year fellow, so he has kindly agreed to volunteer.
Thank you so much. Are we waiting on anyone else to join?
No, I think in person will be this, the other people are also.
Okay, very good.
Let me just ask one of these, I think.
Do you want this on the bottom or on top?
Yeah, because.
You know, I'm gonna change it,
Okay.
and then I'll come.
Okay, no problem.
Do you guys want the sheet? Do you have a sheet?
Yeah, we have,
Okay.
yeah.
Or just this?
I think that was.
Up to you, whatever you're comfortable with. I don't mind either way.
So were you able to confirm that they can hear us?
Yes, thank you, Karen.
Great. Okay.
Very good. Yeah, if you have any questions, just unmute, because, we can't really see the chat box. All right, thanks.
Try to speak loudly. Yeah. Okay. Perfect.
There's lots of options.
So are you guys very new to 3D imaging? You're just gonna.
We actually do imaging when we do TEVs.
Okay.
We do it, but usually the heavy ones, right? And we don't on TT.
Yeah.
Which is like where we usually have more involvement, like doing the TTs or something. And then strain, I think that's my longer to study. Strain.
Yeah. We're covering that today. We're just 3D today.
Hopefully we could just do, I think strain for us is more important, maybe like the boards. So if we could focus more on strain, I think that would be better.
Okay.
I think that's more clinical.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, and then you can do like maybe towards the end.
Okay. Let's see what packet what you guys have. as
Yeah.
far as-
What strain packages do you guys use? Is it ACMQ or auto strain?
I don't know, whatever.
The only thing I know is that once they clip, like you don't need the patient to do strain. Once they clip the images, once you have a good 4 chamber 2 and a 3, they can directly just trace it on the machine, and it gives you the both side plot with the automatic values. So I don't know if that was helpful, but. How are you doing? Okay, how are you? Good. Everything okay? Better. Good. How was last week? Did you get it? I was having like 2 cancels. These are all canceled. Okay. So there's one. Yeah. What was it? Okay. That's good.
Course volunteer.
Thank you for sorry. Thank you.
It's good for you. You get to see your own event.
Exactly.
Daniel, you want him to
Get free screen.
Nice.
Yeah, this is medium.
Are there large bucks?
Yeah.
So we'll switch out your strain and then leave it to the end.
Okay. You want me to close the door?
That's okay.
Is it okay?
This light doesn't bother you down there. Like,
Yeah, this doesn't, actually, this doesn't
how familiar are you guys with strain?
Not to interpret it, but not how to do it.
Okay. Someone stand.
And there's strain and there's strain rate, right? So do you look at those differently?
Well, we look at global longitude,
Global one.
Yeah. It shows you the longitude and strain for each view, but we use the global.
I
Oh,
think
this pull
the,
this off. So.
Ah, cool. Very cool.
Thought there were 3 in a pack. I'm like, okay, here we
No,
oh,
it's each one. They changed it. We used to get like 6 or 8 on
Yeah,
one
yeah.
sheet, but now they changed it. I don't know. They thought this was better and they don't show.
Like, so that Jen can look at them later?
Yeah.
CHAN, right?
Thank you very much.
I got a free engine.
Say, ID test. Okay, cool.
Okay, cool. So, to get started with strain, to say we did our whole study, you did the whole transthoracic exam. The 3 images that we'll need to process strain with your package is a 4-chamber, 2-chamber, and 3-chamber, right? So I'm gonna have to get them.
Just roll up to your side, please.
Have you done it with the aortic valve closure?
No.
So with your package, okay. If you don't measure the aortic valve closure time, so that's a Doppler for the aortic valve, you just would have to process your 3-chamber first.
Okay.
So you only kind of like nuance with this. Are you ready? Oh. You guys ready to lefties? Alright. Yay. Usually there's more
Yeah, more
lefties.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually there's a lot more lefties.
Small breath in and all.
So, so Dan's getting all 4 chambers in his images. Well, for the apical 4-chamber, but with this software, you definitely need your ventricle and your atrium.
For the strain?
Yes. For this package of strain.
For the package of strain.
Yeah.
So there's different packages that
There's
vary.
different, well, ACMQ is the same no matter what system you use it on, but we have something called auto strain. And auto strain, you just take the pictures a little bit differently. Auto strain, LV, RV, we have LA now too.
So we don't have that.
No. Okay.
I have a question.
Okay.
Take a small breath in. Breathe all the way out.
It's like just exhale and hold all the air out. Breathe. So I'm gonna do that for each breath. Yeah. So we need all three. Yeah. Okay. So we got our 4-chamber. Now we're gonna go
Small breath in and hold it.
a 2-chamber.
You can talk.
So you're just looking for good, like 4 to
Yeah.
for each.
Yeah. Breathe out again. No. So we did breathe out.
Let's try that one more time. Just breathe all the way out.
So with ACM2 or any strain package, you want to make sure that the part's not on the screen too. So that's why we do breath holds. Sometimes that's not realistic with some patients, right? Where they can't hold their breath for that long. But you want it, you want to try and get it centered and without it swaying. And if you can.
One more time, please. Breathe all the way. Yeah.
Alright, so we have our 3, and it's really important to take them consecutively too, because if there's a greater than 10% change in the heart rate, then they're all using the same aortic valve closure time, and if the heart rate goes up, it's not as reliable, the results. So we're gonna pick our 3 images, our 4, our 2, and our 3. So we're gonna go to review, and then Have you guys used the ACMQ package or the AutoStrain package?
No.
Neither.
Neither.
Okay. So you just have to make sure the numbers are highlighted. And AutoStrain, I thought I saw you. Oh, ACMQ is on another screen. So you have two strain packages. One's here, AutoStrain, and then that's it. Yeah, it's a. There it is. Okay, so they put the other package a little bit more hidden. Because AutoStrain is there. You can have
So what
two
is
on that
what is
screen.
the difference between AutoStrain and ACMQ?
They both use the length of line method. So it's really just preference. And if you're doing serial studies and somebody did ACMQ, you could tell by they look a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Just how the screen is set up. Not that they're measuring anything different, but just the graphics different.
They got the disadvantages of using one or the other, or
Well, AutoStrain is fully automated, right? So you just
Um.
it recognizes the pictures for you and it places the points for you, and you don't really have to. You just click the button and it processes everything for you. ACMQ, you have to do a little bit more work with ACMQ.
More manual.
Yeah, a little bit more manual on the ACMQ side. So to bottom, now that I got rid of it, right? All right. So when you're in review, you're going to see AutoStrain pop up when you select your images automatically. If it's not popped up here, you did something wrong.
okay.
So if it's available, it'll be right here. So you should see it populate, I think like under 10 seconds, right? So all of these images are placed, or these points are placed for you. So I was originally going to show you ACMQ. So with AutoStrain, you should actually cut out some of that atrium, the left atrium.
Right.
Yeah, about like half-ish.
Yeah. Because it'll lower your GLS.
No.
If you don't-
It's the way that AutoStrain was built. It was built with an LE focus view. That's what we call
Oh, so it cuts it out for you.
it.
Sorry.
No, it doesn't. No, these are just the images that Dan took.
So you have to adjust it
No, when you're acquiring it.
when you're acquired. I
Yeah.
see. That's why you would.
Yes. So even though we took these pictures consecutively, you can see that this like peach yellow bar here, the heart rate variation of greater than 10%, and it'll show you what your heart rates were for each view. So it's that two chamber that got us right with the heart rate. It'll still process it, but it's just, you want it to be.
It's going to mark that on the report.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Right. So it's just more reliable when it's under 10% different. So you have all of your measurements here on the right side. So you have your GLS for each view, right before your 2 and your 3, and then right down here you have your average for the longitudinal strain, and that's the number that we're really looking for, right?
Right.
So all the packages, no matter what vendor you use, they're measuring this length of line, right? The difference in diastole and systole. That's pretty much how they figure out the strength, right? So we'll go over edits. Right? If you need to make edits, I would try not to do, a great amount of edits because it's so automated. It does everything for you. Say, I started scanning and I took the same pictures.
Like
It's
variability.
variability. Yeah.
Could
So
you
I couldn't
show
get it
one how you get from just 2D to that screen you were where you?
Sure. Yeah. So we're gonna close the Q apps here. So we picked our images, right? We picked all 3.
You have to like manually select
You select it by clicking
on the number.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So once we select all 3, then AutoStrain populates right down here. So, yep, and you see the AutoStrain, and all Dan's gonna do is just press it, and it's already down.
This is Greg.
Hi, Greg.
Hi. How are you?
Nice to meet you. And then it populates here. So Dan's gonna go up to tracking revision. That's where you would make our edits. If you wanted to make edits, right? So I will tell you before I get into them, we want to try to refrain from making edits in and out because that's more like ejection fraction. We're not measuring that, right? So we're measuring the length of line. So the points that are going to make the most difference with the strain measurement are your annular points and your apex, right? Because if you shorten your annular points, it makes that line short, right? So it's important too not to get a foreshortened image because that length of line can be really effective. So your edits, we're going to start in diastole first. And as you see Dan move one of these points, just make a big change. So once you see him make that change, it's going to populate in Sicily right away. I have to drop it. So you see how it reflected in Sicily right away. Now, before you move it again, I want you to go back down to these blue arrows. These blue arrows are like an undo button, like a back button, right? Once you press these, it goes back to what the system determined the strain to be.
Did these metrics come automatically?
Yes.
You did auto strain?
Yeah.
Okay. You just select the images for
Yep.
Shiba 2.
Yep. If you needed to manually place the points, you could also do that. That is this version. Okay, so you can actually just rename the views. Sometimes with different software releases, they add more features to this. So this one we can only just rename the views. So I'm going to have Dan hit this red X. All right, so it's going to go to 4-chamber. You're going to go to the actual 4-chamber image. Now don't you see how it'll let you place it anywhere you want, right? But it has a really good success rate on placing the points. I think it was like that percentage,
Very
like a 99% success rate on where they place them. Yeah. So you probably won't ever have to do this, and then if you feel like you have to manually tell it what view is what, I wouldn't use those.
Oh, like if the images are really not clear, then it doesn't pick up that it's a 4-chamber 2 and 3, and you have to manually.
Right. So if it's messing up the labeling, chances are you should just go back and find the images.
Yeah. So another question with this, right? With strain that we get all the time is if you can use contrast. Right? So you're like, well, my images aren't that good, just use like Infinity, Luminon, whatever you guys use. You shouldn't do it with strain because it's adding speckles into the image, and strain is being tracked by speckles. It's using speckle tracking to place all those points. So that's why you shouldn't do Infinity, at least not yet. There's not a lot of research on it yet, so you could try it, but
okay.
I mean, you guys do when we're.
We normally do these like only for like cancer patients who are on chemotherapy, like we want to see like that is cardiotoxicity with the drug and injection fraction and change. Yep, that's the most common use for strain for us.
So we're gonna go back to tracking revision really quick. So I will tell you too, with your edits, you want to do your edits in diastole first because they automatically populate into Sicily. So if you make a change,
does the screen like automatically populate when you do the autos?
It goes to your analysis first. Oh yeah. So yes. So when you go into your tracking revision, it will always be a moving picture, diastole.
Oh, got it. So
yeah,
automatic.
And then you can actually zoom up on one of these too if you want to. So I would click on it and you can zoom it up.
So there you can drag it to like actually align it to
just on the
Yep.
Yep. And just because the line's here doesn't mean it's not tracking the whole of the party. It's just where the line's placed. Got it. Okay. They tried to make it just look slicker, nicer to the eyes. So if we make an edit here, right, like Dan did before, you'll see it adjust in Sicily automatically, right?
Yeah.
So that's why you want to play with diastole first, because then if there's any adjustments you needed to make in Sicily, the adjustments you made in diastole automatically may have fixed it or compensated for that issue. So that's really as simple as auto strain is. I mean, that's pretty recommend if there's an auto strain button, just use that. Don't use the other one. It's whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah. This
and
is
then you directly
easier
get the full side thing.
Yep. So that's an analysis too. It's right there, and you can make these bigger too. And the way you would just literally acquire this image like that. Oh, nice and big.
Your global strain is normal.
Okay,
The 4 chambers.
Yeah, normal. So I would like fix this point.
No warm
maybe.
motion recommended.
For now.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, now you're probably wondering, well, what about those percentages that usually pop up around the whole ventricle, right? Yeah. Those are over here on your show measurements, the eyeball. So once you press that, it shows you your segmental strain for each segment. Okay. And you can hide that or show that whatever your preference is. So that's just, easy.
So this is strain.
Yes.
So what is strain rate?
They're I know the same thing.
It's the same.
Yeah. And then you have your waveforms here. There's
So this is
waveforms
just
for
each wall.
Yes, each wall. If you wanted to highlight just one view, like just your segments in the core chamber, you just click on your core chamber. Same here. Right there. And right there.
How did you get to that view?
So up in this square here, there's a bullseye, where there's this waveform button. So you would just use this little, bottom right here.
Let me click on this. I think I might
Now-
be something. No?
Or is that just your Skype?
That's just, yeah.
That's your Skype,
yeah,
okay.
right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
well, if they're sending messages, it'll show up right there.
Yeah, the group chat.
So another little feature I like to always show everyone too. There's this little thing called a speedometer. Well, I call it a speedometer. That's what it looks like to me. And it changes the speed at which your frame is playing, right? So if I wanted to slow it down a little bit, I find this helpful if somebody's got like a really fast heart rate and you're trying to look at, how well it's tracking.
Okay.
Right, you could just always slow down the image just to like follow it a little bit more clear. If that makes sense. And then if you fire it like this is how fast it will play back. You pull it up there. So that's that with strain. If you wanted to go over to your structured reporting, there's a little box down here that says accept measurements right above the little contact sign. You want to click on that, and that will take it over to your structured reporting.
If you forget, if you don't select this box, it's not gonna.
The images will show up if you took.
But all
images.
these numbers will show up.
Yeah, so you have to hit accept. Yeah, you have to hit accept.
Okay, got it.
So do you want to show them like what more like an LB focus view looks like? I'm doing that your chamber.
What?
Do it on your chamber.
Oh, sorry. Did you already, you may have already done it.
That's okay.
Basically the compression where you show with the aortic valve closure, all the.
Yeah, you can right here, that one. If you wanted to edit it, and you would just scroll through your image and place it.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. Right, so that's good if you don't have an EKG. Right.
Can you reiterate what we're doing here with the aortic valve closure?
You don't have to do anything as long as you have an EKG.
What's the concept?
I think it's systemic. Yeah,
It's
it's
more
called
like
systemic.
Yeah.
Start of it's the end of the video. This is system.
So it's
track strain.
right. So it's when the aortic valve is opening and then.
So if it's not clearing, you think it's.
Yeah, if you
You
need
need
to,
to come
yeah.
and check.
Or if you
Most
don't
of the
have an
time it's fine.
EKG,
Yeah.
that's what you would have to set this yourself.
Because you would have to look at it and then mark it.
For like emergency cases, I mean, I had plenty of times, in a hospital where you get called to a stat phase, right? And they're like, you go down, and then the doctor afterwards is like, well, can you do strain on that patient? Yeah, and you're like, I can't even put an EKG on, but you can,
Right.
So like I had
So
a
what
lady
is
once.
this wave? This is
talk
the
to-
aortic valve? No. What is this wave?
I think it corresponds to the EKG this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just for timing purposes, I think.
Yeah, I think it always.
So some other features for you. So let's go to our analysis page here. So you have this little gear over here on the right. You can orient your pictures up, down, and you could invert your 4 chamber, your 2, and your 3, either left or right. So think of like a TE image or even like pediatrics, you take them upside down and then you want to bring it into strain. Just gives you
Up, down.
yes, up, down, and then left, right if you feel. The options are there. You also have the option too of measuring peak systolic strain or end systolic strain. I think the most widely used is peak systolic. And I think that's where all the data comes from anyway, is from peak systolic. But this is something you wouldn't want to change for every patient, whether you're using peak or you're using end, because then it, you don't have to change it to the patient. Say Dan scan, and he did it on end-systolic, and then I scan the same patient. I did peak systolic a couple months later, then we can compare the two.
You always have to do it.
Yeah, so you just had, it's like decided.
If a patient has like strain like every 3 months, so
Yeah.
if you do peak systolic first, then you always have to compare for
Yes.
to show.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so that's really, I mean, really as simple as the strain is, it's really just getting the pictures and then pulling it in here and then just knowing where to go to edit if you need to make any edits. Do you want to show like an LV focus view so they know exactly what we mean?
LA focus.
LV. Did I say LV?
No, you said
LV. Yeah, that's okay.
this is part of the strain too.
Yeah. So I'm gonna just have Dan show you what an LV focused view would look like. Okay. So the LV focused view also, it just has to do with the algorithm that's used for auto strain and how the software was built. It was built on LV focused views. So when you have more of the atrium in there, you'll notice those angular points sometimes slip down, but that's because you have too much atrium in the picture. Because it's thinking that you want to track all of those walls. It's just how it's. So you have to go into the software. Yes. So it's not that you can't do it on images like you saw with the atrium in there. It's not that you can't do it on those, but it's just better without it. Okay, so this is an example like of an LV focus view.
Okay, gotcha.
So you don't want to you don't want to cut it too close. You don't want to cut it too close to the mitral valve because it needs some of that mitral angular movement to track it.
So you want to leave some of the atrium there, just not the entire.
Yeah. So that would be what an LV focus view would look like.
So the apex is not foreshortened.
Yeah, you don't want to foreshorten the apex. Because it's using that length of line, right? So if it's foreshortened, it's a shorter line, right? So and that's it. Yeah, we're gonna do it again with 2. So Dan took his focused 4G radio. Oh. And then he's going to go.
So what's the advantage of doing the LV focus versus the normal?
So it has to do with the tracking. You'll get better tracking results with it. Yep. Yeah. And you'll find that you make less edits. Just guarantee you every time that the whole atrium's in there, the angular points go a little bit forward. You go into the atrium. We're not tracking atrial contraction or any atrial movement.
Great. Blow all the air
So the ASC2, their guidelines, it was 18 to 20 plus or minus 2. So we're
For the average.
Yep, for the global longitudinal strain.
Great. And one more time.
So there's more research done. But right now it's 18 plus or minus 2. So that's not even from us. That's from guidelines.
One more time.
Do you guys have questions on any of like the other knobology on the system? Or
I think it's easier than I thought it was going to be with the
Yeah.
auto strain.
yeah, because it's automated, so it's right. And again, too, if your pictures just are like so, or you like a difficult person, no strain is better than bad strain. Right? But yeah.
So here, if you were doing it, you would go to measure.
You don't have to. For auto strain, you don't have to.
Your LV strain. And then.
So we haven't
Oh,
selected all.
somebody. Okay.
Somebody.
Gotcha.
So what I was just about to do was deselect the other images that we were using before, so that we can reselect.
So you select.
Yes.
So we're
For
doing that
example, okay, and now you hit auto strain.
Yep.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Alright,
Super
awesome.
easy.
So when you select it, that becomes.
Yep. So you just press the button and give it like 10 seconds. It populates for you.
So it's already on the screen.
You don't have to go anywhere when you're in review. So like pull up the.
Oh, in
image
review.
Mhm.
And then
There you go. And now you notice. I mean, I noticed a difference with angular points. This one's still a little bit low, but on these, I don't think I would change a thing. on them, right? So that's the benefit of doing an LV focus view is that the tracking will come out better. Yeah. That's it. Do you guys remember where you go to track? I mean, to edit your tracking, to make adjustments.
Tracking location.
Yep. And which one do you do first?
They asked me not to back first.
Yep. So that's another benefit of ACMQ when you're in ACMQ. This is a benefit over ACMQ because your edits here, you don't have to compute anything. You just make the edits that you want and it automatically adjusts it in real time.
We don't have that much time left, so do you mind showing us the 3D?
Yeah. Want to go there?
Yeah.
Because I think you basically summarized everything
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
training.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I'll switch. Alright. So you guys gonna go through the 3D? Did anybody online have any questions? I'm gonna take silence as a good thing, but please feel free to ask questions if there's anything you have questions on. I don't think you have a chance.
Okay. So we're gonna go through 3 different 3D modes. We'll go through full volume, live 3D, and 3D zoom. So do you guys have a lot of experience with any of those?
No, stay on your side.
I just thought we would.
Oh, right. Okay.
Shorter arms than Dan.
Is it full volume, live, and 3D?
Live 3D and 3D zoom. So full volume, if you go with that option, it's going to give you a large chunk of information. So let's say you're in an exam and you decide you want to get this image quickly and then do everything post-processing, but you don't know exactly what you want to look at. They'll use full volume because that will encompass the entire heart. So that's going to give you a full pyramid. And then if you decide to do live 3D, you optimize your 2D image, and then you select the 3D button right over here on the control panel, and you'll get a slice of that image, a 3D slice of that 2D image that you're using. So whereas full volume, you would have a full pyramid, here we just have a slice from that pyramid. Okay? And then with 3D zoom, if we decide to use that option, you know exactly what you want to look at. You can choose 3D zoom and then completely crop into the object that you're trying to visualize in 3D. Okay. So we're going to start with full volume. So the first thing I want to show you in full volume is the 3D opt controls. So Caitlin will get the image first.
So for this, you're on the 3D on the control.
We're using full volume, so it's right over here.
Sometimes to get into it, depends on how comfortable you are with acquiring 3D images. We find it, I feel like 50-50 with customers. They'll launch X-Plane first to make sure that they're encompassing all the anatomy that they want to get in the volume, just as, until you get more comfortable with it. So not everybody does this, but
it's a good way to check.
Yeah, it's a good way to check that everything's in here, and I know it's in here.
So when you launch into your full volume, you'll see that our 3D opt is defaulting to our 1 beat acquisition. So what that's saying is that the entire full volume is being acquired in 1 beat. So as you can imagine, that's a lot of information that we're getting in 1 beat. So our frame rate's going to be pretty low.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to take this into post-processing, do you guys use QLab at all? 3D QA? So if you're using 3D QA to get your 3D ejection fraction, you're going to have to use at least a 2-beat acquisition.
But we only do that after we get the images.
Right.
No, you do that when you're getting it.
You have to switch your 3D opt before you get the image.
To 2 beats.
To at least 2 beats. So there's the other options. It's 2 beats, 4 beats, 6 beats, or HVR. And what this means, you're not acquiring that many beats. It's just how many beats it will take to form the full volume.
Think of it like a 2D opt. Your 2D opt here controls your image quality, right? So your 3D opt, even though it says beats, it's controlling your image quality.
Right, because the more beats
So
that
it's not
we're using,
acquiring 4 beats. It's just that it's going to take the average volume of 4 beats.
exactly.
Well,
And
it
then,
takes 4 beats to actually build it.
To
So
build
I'm gonna change it to 2, and you'll see in this elevation plane here, formed in 2.
Right.
Now when I go to 4, it's gonna go 1, 2, Oh, okay.
4, and then this
Right.
image refreshes, and then it refreshes every 4 beats.
Got it.
So
But
now,
just know with the 4, you get the best quality.
now the problem that you can come into if you're using a 2, 4, 6-beat acquisition is called a stitch artifact. Do you know that
Yeah.
stitch artifact? Okay, great. So you see a stitch artifact right over here.
Yep, I'm wondering.
So if you have this, you're not going to be able to do that post-processing. So what you want to do is have your patient stay very still or hold their breath for the full amount of time that your full volume is building. If they can't stay still or they can't hold their breath, an option that you can use is HVR.
I'm going to sector. So what is HVR?
So HVR stands for high volume
All
rate.
the way to the left. We changed it on this.
Got it. So if you start on 1 beat, it will move to the left to HVR. That stands for high volume rate. And basically what it does, it forms your image in a way that it prevents stitch artifact. So if your patient has an arrhythmia, let's say they're in AFib, the heart's kind of bouncing all around the screen, you're going to get that stitch artifact. You can go into HVR and you'll get your full volume without the stitch.
And as you can see now, I'm moving around. Yeah.
You don't want to default to HVR every time though. It is, nice to know that you can use it, but it does slightly sacrifice your resolution. So you want to try for your 2, 4, 6-beat acquisition first, and then if you can't get it with that stitch, you can go to HVR.
Are we a fire going on?
Yeah.
Want to read out? Read. Come a little bit more onto your side, like really. Just bring these lines. Just straighten it. Sorry. Apologize. Got lateral windows. One, 2, 3. So I should breathe out again. Just remove something. And now breathe. So I know these images kind of look not as great, but we're concentrating on this. So do you guys know that these aren't actually 2D images? So what these are they're multiplanar reconstruction from the 3D, right? So this one, it inherits the view that you're looking at, like where your probe is. So whatever view you were in, this one inherits that view. So your lateral is like from side to side, right? And then you have to adapt, like for normal imaging, for 2D imaging. Now, what makes this a 3D is that it has an elevation plane from front to back, right? So that's what this is over here. It's that elevation plane from front to back.
So it's not like a traditional 2D.
Right, correct. It's just orthogonal.
So you can't read the walls there.
No. And same with X-plane too. If you were doing X-plane on the 4-chamber, if you put it on the 4-chamber, it's not a true 2-chamber. It's actually just 90 degrees. A true 2-chamber is like 310. That's right. Yeah, you use like the ivory too.
So you want to make sure you optimize in 2D first before coming in, because you're not going to optimize based on these images here.
So what are you adjusting there?
So you can adjust and have 2 beats. 3 beats or 1 beat, but this is what I'm actually going to acquire. So we're watching what's happening in what we call the cine buffer down here. So this is just like a temporary like storage, so to speak, of your images. Once I hit freeze, all of the data that's saved right in here for the time being gets wiped away. So I'm just adjusting to make sure that there's no stitch artifact in there, that I like the 2 beats that it throws on. So you just do trim right, trim left, and it just moves these hockey sticks right here. We call them hockey sticks. The little L's. And then you'll see this adjust too, and I think it's smaller. So then when I acquire, it's only going to acquire this right here.
If you just like,
Yes.
Correct.
Yep. But then when you get more comfortable too, especially if you take pictures retrospectively, if you already saw what you were, what you needed, that's a benefit of retrospective because you know what the images look like. You don't have to double check. But it's a good habit to double check before you actually.
so just as one, maybe it's going to give us an EF and the volume of the LV, or
You have to use an application on top of that. Okay. Yeah. So I want to just show you too. I'm gonna reset cropping, right? So now see here's the volume. You guys can see here. Yeah. This is like a big pyramid of information, and I'm just bringing it down. So here's your apex all the way up here. I just turned this pyramid so you can see better. Now when you go and launch 3D, it automatically crops out half of the image, half of the volume. They just hit auto crop. So that's what we were seeing before.
It cuts out the front 50% of the pyramid.
You have different layouts too. I would suggest keeping your layout with your volume, whatever volume you choose to do, like a live 3D, full volume, or 3D zoom. I would keep it this way with the volume on top and then at least 2 NPRs on the bottom so you know where you are. Right. There's also a 4-up display. They're all equal. Right. And then a volume and then your lateral elevation. So it's whatever your preference is. I like the 3-up.
so now you would just acquire the image.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep, I did.
And this was doing it live, like from the you're doing it like as we speak. But what if you wanted to do it on already existing images? Is it the same buttons to press?
So if you were going to acquire 3D volume, you have to do it. You can't pull it. You can't. No.
Right.
You have to take it when you're scanning the patient. Now you could take it and then the patient goes, and you could use your cropping features and
You can play around with it afterwards.
Yeah.
But you have to make sure you acquire it during.
But with live 3D and 3D zoom, you can do it after?
Nope.
No. Which ones can you do after?
None.
Cropping and 3D, if you're
No, you have to acquire it. You have to acquire it while you're
because we use the 3D option in the button.
So this live 3D here, this is how you activate live 3D. I would hit this one all the time by accident when I'm scanning. I went to hit color and I hit 3D. So that's, that's always a joke with everybody. So you guys know where the live 3D is and how we hit it by accident, of course. You want to go into live 3D? Do you have any more questions on the full volume?
No, I just want to see like how does it give the EF like after you acquire it?
Well, you have to pull it into the application. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. We could do. We'll go over the
Yeah,
bugs first and then.
Sure.
And do you understand why we can't pull 2D images into 3D post processing? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Because with 2D, we're just saving that 2D frame. So the
Right.
3D data that's not within that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have the elevation.
Right. So the only thing you could really do post processing is like adjust your gain, pretty much. And then if you're on Doppler, you can adjust Doppler gains to baselines and yeah.
So this is full volume for like this is for the LV cavity.
Yep.
If you want to just focus on like the mitral valve when you're doing a TD, for example, which one do you do?
3D zoom.
3D.
Yeah, that was the most common place I used that one.
Yeah.
The T, or even for a left atrial appendage. So you guys do you do appendage closures here or
No, we have patients with watchments, but
Yeah.
not really like
Gotcha. Yeah, it's good for that though too.
we commonly use 3D zoom for like mitral valve videos, like stenosis and like valve. We go
version.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, 3D Zoom is like, that's my go-to for, it's easy to look at the micro because you're like parallel with that little cube of information, the micro it's parallel to that top of the cube. You just, it's super easy to manipulate there. So we'll go into Live 3D, you guys? You guys are good? Yeah, okay. Okay.
So now we're just going to optimize our 2D image. And we'll select the 3D button. As easy as that.
Yeah.
Yeah, very, very straightforward. Now we're just going to 3D image of that.
Yep. But good for, I mean, TDs if you're, I believe the angle's around 30, the long axis of the aorta and you get the ventricle. You're doing like a tab bar. Right? You could watch it deploy on a live 3D. Yeah, it's super easy to just launch right into it and get it. You know, it's good in there. If you want to see if there's, you know, like a tear in the aorta, you can see it on there on live 3D as well. Hold on, I gotta get a good one first. Or I could pull up from, I'll pull that one. Nice.
So you notice the blue in the background over here?
Yeah.
The back of the image. So that's representing the depth of the chamber. So the blue is the back of the chamber.
Yeah. So you're right there, your elevation.
Correct.
So we have a funny saying, right? It's a little cheesy, but you see how this is like golden brown? Yeah, it's brown turned down.
So you know you're overgained.
Now when you see black drop out, when it's black, bring it back. Right? When you see just that blue hue in the background, blue is true. Or some people say good for you. Blue, good for you. Like this. But it kind of helps us
Cheesy, but easy to remember.
Yeah. So live 3D is just as simple as that. You just launch right into it.
So this is used like when you are doing procedures and like in live want to see what's happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about any volumes. Now, live 3D, you also have the option to optimize your 3D ops button. But once you come off of one beat, it's no longer a live image, right? Because we're with full volume, when we use 4, 2, 4, and 6, you're using 2, 4, or 6 beats to build the image, and it's no longer live. Like right now, I'm moving around and it's live with me, right? So when we went into the 2 and the 4 and 6, I had to wait. I had to wait a couple beats for it, and that's what we you'll probably hear it referred to as gating. When they say the image is gated, that's what they mean. So it's a 2, 4, and 6 beat. And then there's 3D zoom.
So with 3D zoom, you'll want to use that if you know exactly what you want to focus on. So for example, the mitral valve. I know. Caitlin will look at the image.
A few more minutes. 3D zoom's the easiest ones.
Yeah, this is quick.
Yeah, because Jin has to go for reading the nuclear.
Okay.
So okay. That's the last one.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's just show them
The nuclear reading is the last one. Yeah. So
moving side to side. Because technically this box, when I move this, larger, it's moving this one this way. Because it's the 90 degrees, right? Every time I move. So, let's hit 3D zoom, right? I'm activating it, sizing it. And now, when I launch it, that my zoom is going to be right there. So his image is a little bit off axis. I think it's just where his windows are, but if you can kind of appreciate that the mitral valve is there.
How do you rotate it?
You have rotate Z. Rotate Z moves it kind of like a cartwheel or like a pinwheel, like this way. And then you can rotate it other directions using your trackball. If you guys want to see, I have a USB with some test images if you want to look at what the 3D zooms kind of look like.
So you just did it for the mitral valve.
Yeah.
Which button 3 times?
3D zoom. Yeah. Press that once. I sized it, give her my area of interest with the trackball. And then you can also, change this with the elevation.
Okay.
So first step, activate. Second, adjust your box.
And then I know 3D.
Yep. And then rotate it however you want to see it. So right now we're looking from the ventricle down at the mitral valve. We have something called dual. Oh, there you go. It's dual volume layout. We'll flip this image and you can look from the atrial side. So from the ventricle and from the atrium. So that's nice to save, for the surgeon. You kind of want to get the surgeon's view, you would rotate Z and get that aortic valve on. Yeah. There's one last thing. You can add color to any one of these modes. Oh, yeah. Right? You just add color, right? So I'm going to go into 3D zoom, for example. Now, you're going to notice now with 3D zoom, your zoom box inherits what your color box was. This is a good way to know that your anatomy is where you want, or your area of interest is where you want. There you go. Change my box size just a little bit. And then just launch. I think I swiped it by accident. So I still have the dual volume out on there. So theoretically, that's your mitral. Yeah. The top windows checked. This part's just shy. All right, so same thing if you wanted to, put it on any of the other modes, right? You have color here, you launch your live 3D, right? There is your core chamber. So see, you're just adding color onto that. Yeah. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Do you guys have any questions on anything with acquiring them, or do you want to try to do it?
I'll try to do it.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think next.
Oh, yeah,
she
Joe
didn't
needs to
know.
go.
Yeah, sorry. He needs to go.
Yeah. I can show you. I mean,
Oh,
can you
wow.
guys see images from the USB?
Yeah, that's
Sure.
true.
Then you can see to its full potential what it
Much
could be.
clearer.
Yeah, and you could see what it could be.
Yeah.
Want me to take this off?
And if you just read the nucleus and then rotate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Jen. Thank you. Thanks.
No, it's good.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. I have to relieve if any questions come up. You have my information. Reach out anytime.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
So, okay. I like those sleep. The way I was sitting.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's just really. It's fine. Check out. It'll just keep coming back. And then he's having me all the time. So it will launch the third one. Zoom loss, right? Which one is Zoom loss? Might be. Yep. Yeah. So the biggest one is your volume, and then live is the slice. and then 3D zoom.
Thank you so
Right,
much.
if you know what you're looking for. Yeah, so we're gonna some images. You. Pause this. So, did you know that all the systems they come with test images? So the system has these test images for you too. So they're in this drop down. If there's anything on here, if you want to see any of the applications, you have like part model, true view, MDN, 3D QA, data test images, 3DQ, 2DQ, CMQ, you have all of those. Yeah. Well, one of them is good. Okay, there we go. So you can actually do 3D volume from a T. Sorry. So import a couple of them. Maybe the talent. Let's just import these. I'm just watch me dry while they go over. This should go over pretty fast. So what procedures do you guys do here? Everything? Like cover, clips?
No,
No.
T, which is mostly where we use the 3D echo. And then caps and speakers. But Watchmen are not placed here. It's another. So it's
Gotcha. Okay. So there are cropping features. I mean, maybe come back another time and go over some of the cropping. You guys are probably really busy though. But we appreciate it. Yeah, no problem. I was taking a long time to look.
Do you guys ever use the cropping tools? Or not?
So for 3D, like if we suppose get pictures and after we like do it, we use 3D cropping, preset cropping thing after we finish the study. Like if because sometimes the artifacts in the medical come out of the medical and stuff. So if you want to clean it and see, you can get a better picture.
Do you want to do from a T first or from a trans T first? Okay, so that is a 3D zoom. Could you guys tell how I could tell that? It'll tell you. Yeah, it'll tell you.
It's also going to tell you how you can see it.
Yep. So this one was acquired before. So that's a giveaway as well. So yeah, this one is a 3D zoom. Now I deactivated my control, my pointer, so we can move this pointer out. I believe it's upside down. So go to my 3D screen and just rotating Z. You see how it just rotates it on the screen right there. Now, if I wanted to do dual volume layout, then you could see, ventricular control side as well. Now I can't add color to this because it was already taken. But so that's why you would want to add your color first before you acquire it.
It's a very weird picture.
Yeah, definitely something like that. So, yeah, it's okay. I don't know what it is. So here also is, four chambers
from that,
from where?
from the earlier picture. It was
The one
another
before?
picture.
But if this was, there's separate pictures.
There's
yeah.
separate pictures.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you just went into
No, these are the test images.
Okay,
So
got it.
this was a full volume, and you can see it's a full volume here, right?
Yeah.
And it was a 4 beat with that 3D off, right? And you could also, turn this around as well. Then if you came down like this, you can see the outflow track, and then you can see everything back here turn blue to give you that depth perception. Yeah. So this one's really nice. And then that's with the addition of color. And you're probably like, wait a second, like turn my gains down, turn my color gains down. Don't worry about how it looks here, because these are the reconstruction of your 3D. Because we're concerned about how it looks up here. If it's too grainy up here, then be concerned. It used to get me all the time too. Yeah, you're like, no, it's too mosaic. No, turn that down. Yeah, no, but we're just looking at that top volume. Now you could change your layouts post processing too, so you have a lot of options. So look at it however you want. See, and if I just brought it down, here's the tip of the sector. So now through 3D zoom,
Yeah, that's what
I was just gonna say it
thinking.
looks like we're a clip or something.
I think it's,
Something different.
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, something. Yep.
Oh, that's not
Now I want to see if you guys have true view or touch view. Just want to see. It's really it's kind of depth color. So you could change the color map too on this. G and I think E were good for devices. You want to see if there's vegetation on something, or you're just trying to rule out what it is, in a ventricle. Sometimes, those wires look funny. You use color map E on that. This is nice there too. You want to see it from a transthoracic now? 3D? Mm-hmm. Anything you want to see on these? That's cool. Right. You can still change your genes post processing as well. We'll only go down so far.
I'm so sorry. I have to look away.
That's okay. That's okay.
Thanks so much for coming.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
You're
Have a nice
welcome. Bye. Thanks for your time. Okay. So we'll stay as long as you guys want to play too. It's up to you. So here's probably one of it. That's okay. But I know I like reviewing case studies is kind of more beneficial sometimes. I feel and actually getting hands on doing it, right? So this is just a regular 4-chamber too. So I mean, it's a good example of how your image quality really plays a significant impact on how well your 3D will come out. So if you have like crummy 2D images, it won't give a good 3D image. It's not going to just miraculously or magically give you it's not going to be any better in 3D. It's not going to do. You could apply like a cropping feature on here if you wanted to. I'll just do like a quick one, for example, right? You'll see, I'm going to just take a slice out of it. And there you go. It's turned sideways, but that's your subject. Mm-hmm.
Can you save that, or is it?
Yeah, you can accept your crop. I'm going to change my layout to move this up. Just rotate this way. So you can see that's the LVOT, but if somebody had like a BSD or something close, like a DSD, having BSD with tablet or something, right? You can see it. You'd be able to see it there. That one's cool. Because when can you look at something like that, right? Ever, right? And from transthoracic too. It's awesome. Let's see if there's any other really cool one. This is just a volume with color on. So this person, they used HDR, but their frame rate is really low. You have to just be mindful. When you do add color, it will take the frame rate down a little bit. Still 5, and you can see it's really choppy. So now this is your mitral tricuspid. I'm going to rotate a little bit. That's a nice shot too. And you're seeing it from the LV side. Correct. From the ventricle side. Yep. Yeah, you can tell by the way the leaflets look. You can see, if they were more like rounded and smooth, the atrial side. So they're trying to get the right heart a bit better. You see how they took like an under it's like an RV under view. They just highlighted that right side. So you can absolutely do that on a workflow volume as well. It doesn't have to be straight up and down, it just depends what you're really going for. So the major advice on using 3D, like know what you want, like have an idea of what you want, and just kind of think of what will get from there, like what modality will results that I want. Better frame rate is 14. So you need a minimum of 15, really. So on this image, they weren't focusing on, let's see where they are. Oh, tricuspid. So we cut out the mitral here because we're just focusing on tricuspid. And that's a big question too, is, you want to image 3D on the tricuspid valve. This would be a good way to do it. Just swing your image. Yep, like stay in your spot, just swing it and get your RV, all right, elongated. Yep. And this was a zoom, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was
And it's transthoracic probe too.
I'm from the PPE.
Yeah,
That's another thing.
Yeah, so better your 2D, better your 3D. If you want, I'll go over more if you want to, but if you guys have to go, I totally understand.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good.
Yeah.
We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll take my card. If you have any
Okay, thank
questions,
you.
my email's there towards the bottom.
Sure.
Just reach out anytime.
Yeah.
Yep.
And also like those longer sessions,
It's like a live 3D. Short
Yeah,
access
yeah,
to.
absolutely.
even like Hasian or
Quite a-
Oh yeah, her.
Okay.
actually
Yeah,
all
this
was
is amazing.
So this is like, this is your lab,
Right.
Yeah.
the live 3D, right? So you can kind of switch
So
wherever you want.
they can choose, that way you can choose which
And
cut you would
which,
take to
what's
help
your
straighten the valve in this case.
Interesting. So yeah, live 3D is
I
something
can
to use.
more
Like, well, I can use
Okay.
just, like, you can't.
Not now, but there's the elevation and width and the lateral.
Yeah.
like those
Why?
cases because
Yeah.
we don't do that because we have to do it at
That's
the
amazing.
patients come here.
And so
But
here,
it's nice, that's
it's
a nice
beautiful.
one. I love this.
We would probably love to see some like how to like
Really
basic
very
about it and
expensive.
then probably get on the patient and practice.
Sure.
I'm sure where you are. Let's see.
Likely that portion.
Ah,
of
that's
the-
fine.
So,
Yeah. Oh,
Yep,
okay.
it's
Yeah.
down at the appendix, yep.
The dimensions are
Yeah,
all-
also too.
Oh, okay, that's fine too.
Yeah.
So this is like I don't want to
nice.
do this,
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
again.
Yeah,
And then
and
it's
there's
kind
courses
of-
where they'll do case studies like
And
this.
we do
and go
that.
through a question, then that's
Good
they're really
question.
good.
I
Okay.
would not, that's not
Okay.
good.
I'll send
Okay.
some of it.
Yeah, thank you so
Because
much. I appreciate it.
When you're
Thank you for
on this
being
3D
the
image,
shots too.
now if
Oh,
I,
no problem.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay,
this is
nice
great.
to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to
you.
meet you too. Have a good day. This is good.
okay, Glenn.
Yeah,
Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you so much for
Yeah,
everything for
no
the
problem.
shots too.
Yeah,
And
no problem.
it's
And
a
these
good
are
question.
actually loaded now on your system, so they're cool. They're right here. Yep, they'll be all the way at the bottom. It goes by date.
How do you go into these things?
So when you're in review, I'm gonna close. So they were all the way down at the bottom, so all I did was just go by exam date and
Oh.
flipped it so that they're up here.
So whichever says 2014 and Howard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks like we don't have it.
Yeah,
For 2020.
right. No.
Okay, so
I
I
did,
didn't
like,
see how they're-
you guys gotta clean that out. But you do have these test images as well.
Okay, perfect. So I can tell them not to clean it.
I
Just
can see
go
they
clean out,
clear it
yeah,
out,
they
yeah.
clear it out because
Yeah.
it takes a lot of space, so
Right.
they usually like clear it out once
That'll
a
be
week.
nice. Well, it's so they can.
Nice boxes. But all the others are off.
Oh, you can lock it?
No, those were locked when I went in.
Oh, okay.
See?
Oh, okay.
Right, so now those
Yeah, so
ones
these three are
Okay.
not locked.
That'd be good.
That appendage one is really cool.
That was amazing. You can see right into the appendix.
I think so.
And so you're going to do, you said you're going to do measurements on that. You
Yes,
do-
so there's something called a parallax effect. Have you heard of that? Okay, so basically, let me just bring that up. Basically, when we're looking at, so we're cutting this way, right? So it kind of looks like, and right, the orifice for the appendage is not round, right? We know that. So here, you see how it's a different angle.
Yes.
And here, like which angle do you measure at?
That is true.
Right? Because you don't know exactly where you're cutting. A benefit, if you guys have 3DQ, which you do, on 3DQ, you could align your imaging planes in order to get a true orifice here. So there, it's just a parallax effect that what we call it. I usually do it with a cup, but I'll do it with my hands too. You know, this is round, right? Well, we're just going to assume it's perfectly round. So now if I rotate my image this way, you see how it turns into an oval?
Yeah.
And this way too. You don't know exactly which plane you're cutting into. So you can do a trace on a 3D image, but I wouldn't.
You could use this to better align.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if I like roughly did this, I'm not going to be perfect. The interest is fine. But
yeah, appreciate it.
See how I'm moving this to line up. You know, you can. This is just a way to
the orthogonal views through this.
Yep. So you line up in 2 planes and then measure. So you see here, it opened my appendage up. Yeah. So then here, this would be more of a realistic idea of your orifice. Yep. Yep. So now even here, I'm gonna just line it up as well. And it gets more intuitive the more you use it. This used to intimidate me when I was clinical because I think nobody really showed me how to use it well. So, but there you have it.
So I mean, you'd measure. I mean, you measure up there. You can obviously wouldn't measure off this.
No,
the same idea.
But you see how that became a circle?
Yes.
Well, more of an oval. But that to me would be more of an accurate measurement than measuring it on the 3D.
Right, because if they want a general, I mean, exactly is size, but I mean, like if they wanted a general idea of the size, they can use that and use 3DQ and more.
Yeah, 3DQ does your distance and area measurements. 3DQA does the volume projection fractions, things like that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
It gives you that like beam.
You're very welcome.
Yeah.
Have a great day.
Yeah. Do you have any questions? I don't know if anybody's.
Area. So we
We lost
No,
a few.
that's okay.
When we
Yeah,
were disconnected.
Oh, that's okay.
That's okay.
Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
these are
Great.
all on there for you, and that's it.
Awesome. This is amazing.
Any questions?
No, this was very helpful because I feel like we do 3D a lot with TEE, but I've never really seen much of it with TTE here.
Right.
Yeah, so this is nice to see because maybe we can play around with it when the techs are scanning the mask.
Absolutely.
Actually,
Yeah,
work.
like get a volume, and you can kind of coach them through a volume too. And that's the biggest thing with the volume is that feed thing.
Yes.
The 3D ops.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the biggest thing to get a
Okay.
get practice.
Yeah, so they don't have that artifact.
Yep. So
That's
the resolution is really good. You need just a good frame rate, good resolution.
So I mean, if a patient with atrial fibrillation can't use it.
If you were to get a volume, I would go to HBR.
Okay.
But to quantify anything on it,
All right. Because it's going to be
it's so hard. Yeah. It's a tough one. But yeah, I would do the HBR though in that case.
Okay. That makes it, like you said, you can't have them hold their breath or they can't, there's some other